Hello. Super excited to see that you're interested in the blockchain arc.io workshop. And so before you do come to the workshop, I think it would be super helpful if you do install a couple of things. This will just make our time at the workshop just a lot more useful, because then we don't have to spend some time, downloading stuff, installing software. We're just going to get to the chase and learn stuff. So with that being said, here's all the stuff that you're going to need to install for the workshop. So to get started, we're going to have the Arc mobile app. So just to get started, this is what you're going to be looking for, which is mobile Arc. I will also have links in the description to this YouTube video. It will have a link for Google Play and iOS. So with that being said, once you do download it, you can follow my I kind of walk through all the steps on my phone. So once you do install it, I'm going to now show that video. Okay, so now that you have Arc Mobile downloaded, open the app up, and you'll see this welcome aboard. Just basically a bunch of details about what Arc is and how it's super cool. So I'm just click done, and after that, you're gonna see the Arc wallet. So click on create a profile, and then now you can put in whatever pin you want. So I'm gonna put in a pin here, and then after you get this pin confirmed, you're gonna create a profile. So for my profile, I'm just going to name it Arc. And please remember to click Show Advanced and go to Network Type and change this to DevNet. Now just remember, when you go here, don't just click out of it like that. Now you see how it's still mainnet. Make sure to click it and click OK. Now you see how it changed. That means it's actually went through. Now click Next. And now we can see this profile has been made. And you can see how it says DevNet on there. And it has our name, so this is the right profile that I just created. Now I'm gonna put my pin in one more time. Actually, a couple times you have to put your pin in here and there for security reasons, obviously. So when you're in here, the first thing you wanna do is create a wallet. So you see how it says here, to import or create a wallet, click on the button below. So I'm gonna click on the button here and click on generate, which is the first one that you see. So to click on generate, basically all you have to do is swipe on your screen like this. I mean, it's a little bit difficult for you to see, but you just swipe around your screen, basically. And now that we're here, what you want to do is copy the secret passphrase. So this is going to be used in the next slide. And yeah, it basically just helps set up your wallet. So then after that, I'm going to paste those secret words here. I'm going to click next. And then it's going to ask me for my PIN one more time. And lastly, now we can see that we actually do have a wallet set up. So you can see here, it says no transactions found, but if I click here, I can copy my address and actually send it to one of you, such that you can send me money or something, not actual money, fake money. And I can also send you money. So I can go send here, and it's not necessarily money. They're called, the currency is dark, which is just fake money. It's development purposes for this, for such applications like the one that we're working on right now. So I can go 100, and I can either the QR code scanning, or I can put in someone's address like this. Obviously, sending money to myself wouldn't make a lot of sense, but you see the point. Hopefully that helps. Sweet. So now that we have our mobile app set up, let's go back to our computer and set some things up on there so that we can get into this workshop. So with that being said, what we're going to do first is generate an SSH key. It basically is going to allow us to interact with our virtual machine that we're going to create using DigitalOcean. So to do that and to create these SSH keys and just to SSH in general, we're going to be using PuTTY on Windows, and then using Terminal and Bash on a Mac or a Linux machine. So this URL for PuTTY, MLH local.host/PuTTY, is going to be in the description. Otherwise, just pause the video right now and just type it up. So with that being said, basically we're going to use these two. On Windows, we're going to use PuTTY-gen to generate the SSH key, and on a Mac or a Linux machine, we're just going to use ssh-keygen because it's already installed on OS, essentially. So to do that, first thing I'm going to do is essentially just give a tutorial on how a PC user can install PuTTY, and then afterwards how they can use PuTTY-gen. So with that being said, I'm actually not going to go over how to install PuTTY because it's very simple. You just have to download it and go through a couple of steps. But what I will go through is how to generate a SSH key. So with that, I'm gonna go to PuttyGen. So you can see right here, we got PuttyGen right here. Okay. So right now it says no key, right? And the first thing we want to do is actually set our type of key to generate to RSA. So you see a bunch of different options. We're going with RSA. And then after that, we're going to click generate public/private key pair. So click generate. And right here it says create some randomness by moving the mouse over the blank area. So there it is. So you just move your mouse around, and then right here is the public key, and this is where you can save the public key and the private key. So honestly, I would suggest to just save both of these. So I'm gonna, so cancel. I'm just gonna show you. If you do want to add a password to this key, you can. It's entirely up to you. I'm gonna say no, and I'm gonna save this. So I had one before, but I'm gonna save a new one. So I'm just gonna call this arc SSH. Just a simple name. You can call it something that's just easy for you to recognize. So this is the private key. Save that, and also save the public key. I'm gonna save this arc ssh.pub. That's usually what the acronym is that they expect. So I'm gonna save that. And additionally, this is your public key right here. So keep this. Don't close this page yet. This is something we're gonna be using, and in the future after setting up DigitalOcean. It's essentially something that we're going to copy into DigitalOcean in the future. And so with that being said, let's go back to this wonderful presentation. So these slides also basically just walk you through the same thing. So if you want to pause any of these screens, go ahead. But it does the same thing. You can see how I talked about how it's a public key and how to generate it. So it's entirely up to you how you want to set it up. Now, let's go to a Mac. Right, so unfortunately the device that I am recording this on is not a Mac, but luckily the way to do this on a Linux machine or a Mac isn't very difficult. All you have to do is type in ssh-keygen -t RSA-b. So I'm going to copy this as well and put this in the description. That'll just help you copy some commands down. And then afterwards we're going to use pbcopy, and basically what this does is it just copies that public key. So makes sense? Hopefully it does. So now that we've got our SSH key generated, we're going to be going to DigitalOcean to actually use it. So let's set up our wonderful droplet. Now to do this, we're going to be using DigitalOcean. Now the good news I have for you is that DigitalOcean is a paid service, but if you're a student, you can get a free $50 for free using the GitHub Student Developer Pack. So basically with the DigitalOcean allows us to create a virtual machine. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go to GitHub Student Developer Pack. So if you go here, click on this, and what you want to do is click on Get the Pack. So I'm going to click on Get the Pack here, and it will load all this wonderful stuff for me. So I believe it's all at the bottom. Yep, right here you can see it says simple cloud hosting built for developers. So I already have my code right here. It'll generate a code for you, and then you just use this code, copy, and take it to, this has already been used, my code's already been used, but you're gonna take this code, then go to DigitalOcean, and after setting it up, we're going to use that code to get a free $50. So you don't have to worry, although you're going to have to enter in your credit card information, which is unfortunate. You won't have to spend any money, and I will remind everyone at the end of the workshop to, if they don't want to get charged, to delete their virtual instances. But the good news is that it'll take 5 months before you actually have to get charged. So don't really worry too much. You'll have time to end your subscription. So with that being said, I believe this is a tutorial on essentially how to create a DigitalOcean account. So instead of just showing the slides, I'll do it in front of you. DigitalOcean.com. Here we are. So I'm going to sign up with GitHub. You can sign up with Google. You can sign up with email. It's entirely up to you. Yeah, so my bad. I'm not going to sign up. I'm going to sign in because I already have an account. So sign in. And before you actually get to this, so this was like a first project that I made just to test some stuff out. But before you even get here, what you're going to have to do is just set up a, give your credit card information, and then it's going to ask you to make a new project. So in that new project page, it's going to look something similar to this. It's just on a different web page to what I remember. And so on here, I'm going to name this, just because that one's called first project, I'm going to call this like Arc.io workshop. You can call this whatever you want. I mean, it's probably going to be the only project you have on here if you've never used DigitalOcean, so, you know, it won't be hard to find. That being said, let's select the purpose here. So I'm going to say class project / educational purposes, and then create project. Now moving resources into an Arc.io project. I don't want to move any resources, so I'm going to skip for now. And when you create a new account, you probably won't even have that. It'll just ask you for educational purposes, and you will be good to go. Now, next, you'll be on this screen right here, which says like start learning with DigitalOcean. Woo! So get started with a droplet. So I'm going to create a droplet. So droplet's basically a virtual machine instance. So do not click $40 a month. Just a warning. Click this one. $10 a month. It'll get everything we need to do for this workshop, and you won't have to worry about getting charged because it's $10 a month. You'll get $50 for free, so you'll be good to go. And also, what you want to make authentication? You want to make authentication SSH keys. And then in here, I'm not going to click this one. I'm going to click new SSH key. And right here, now you pull up this wonderful thing. I'm going to go in, copy the entire thing. Click copy. Click paste. And now that we have here, we're going to name this. I believe I call this, what did I call it? I'm just going to call it next key or something, new key. Alright. It's not super important as long as, you know, you can remember exactly what that key represents. Now that we have this new key selected, another thing is just make sure that you did click Ubuntu for your droplet, which is the default selection. Sweet. So now we have all this stuff done. Click create droplet. And while this is being created, I'm going to go to this account right here and go to billing. And on billing, you see how I have $50 of remaining credits left. You can do that right here. Although I do have a credit card information. I believe it's... Where'd it go? Maybe by me going for this, I can't see that. But it is on this page. So just look for it. As you can see here, I got the promotional credit of GitHub Student Developer Pack. So just put your code in. I know it's around here, so it's on this page. And if you can't find it, just feel free to message me on Slack, and I'll hit you up. Sounds good? Sweet. Now, let's go back to this Arc.io project. And it has finished. So, now that we have our beautiful droplet right here, we're going to copy this. And now, open up Putty. And put the IP address in here, and go to SSH, go to auth, click on it, browse, and find where you put that key. So I'm going to open this. And another quick tip, save this. So I'm going to save this as, put a name in here. So I'm just going to call this like arc2. Save. So we can see here, so if I ever load this, it will just load this. If I load this, you can see how the IPs change. Load this one, IPs change again. Now, It's also good news is, once again, for Mac and Linux users, it's not that difficult. Just to put in perspective, if we go to this is, I don't know where it is. This is what we're looking for. So you're gonna write SSH root at the IP address. So it's very similar, and then luckily for y'all, it's gonna automatically basically find out since it's the default SSH, it's just gonna use the default SSH key. If you've used SSH keys before and this is not your only SSH key, I would just say Google a little bit. You'll basically just have to change your config file to basically tell it what SSH key to read. So I would just do a little bit of Googling, and otherwise, if you're still stuck, we can work on it together. Just message me on Slack, and I'll do my best to help y'all out. Sound good? Sweet. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm gonna click open, and right here, click yes, and over here, root, and sweet. Now you can see that I have made it in. So you can see it says root right here. So I'm in. So this is really good progress, and you can see how we have a droplet set up and we've got our app set up. Sweet. Alright, so now that we have our droplet set up and we have our app set up, or our mobile app set up, the next thing we need is some software requirements. So basically since our VM machine that I just logged onto, or the ones you just logged onto, this VM machine is basically a brand new machine. Why did it just do that? This is a brand new machine, so it doesn't have a lot of stuff installed, and so we need to install some stuff onto it, right? So we're gonna install all this stuff: Node.js, Yarn, Lerna, and Build Essential. So to do that, we're gonna use Arc Deployer, and basically Arc Deployer is gonna install a lot of stuff for us. Arc Deployer does take a little bit of time to just download all the packages and install them, and so this is basically my main reason of us doing the setup, is because Arc Deployer takes a couple of minutes to do its thing, and I don't want everyone to sit at the workshop for a very long time. Now, first thing I want to do is add user, and I'm just going to follow this wonderful tutorial, so we're just going to call this bridge chain. So, now that we've added this user, I'm going to create a password. Alright, sweet. I'm just going to put my name in here. It doesn't matter what your room and stuff is. You have to put that in. Yeah. Sweet. So now we got the stuff in. I'm going to say SU bridge chain. It just stands for switch user. So boom. And if I write who am I, you can see it says bridge chain. Alright, cool. So we made this wonderful new account, and you can see here that this essentially does do the same thing. Now, what we do want to do as well is give ourselves sudo access, because I do believe if I type in sudo it says right there, bridge chain is not in the sudoers file. So we want to, this incident will be reported. Okay. Now I clicked exit just to return back. And now we can see if I write who am I am root, right? So we're going to type this user mod -ag sudo bridge chain. Now it has sudo access. So if I type in sudo ss, now you can see I can actually become root, right? It didn't complain about anything. So now that we have sudo access, we can do some installing without the computer basically complaining that we don't have sudo access. So since we do want to set this up, I'm gonna cd it into home. So there's two ways of doing that. One is if you do cd this tilde, or you can just do cd/home. Same thing. you'll get the same thing. Huh? I guess not. So let's go back to home. I stand corrected. So we're gonna go to /home. And you see there is this bridge chain. So we're gonna go to bridge chain. Whoops. And it's empty. But that file is there. And that folder is there. And that's good to know. Now, with that, the next thing we're gonna do is go to Arc Deployer. And we're gonna be using this to essentially deploy a bunch of a script. And that's gonna do some installing for us. So here, click create. And then here, I'm gonna click start. I'm gonna put in IHG, just my email address, bridge name. We're gonna go back to this wonderful tutorial, just so I don't be mess up on something silly. So I'm gonna call this arc $8 symbol. Oh, whoops! As you can see, I already messed something up. Arc $8. So I'm gonna just name this MDT. Right? That makes sense. Next. Now here we're gonna use Arc Core's GitHub repo, and we're gonna fork it, and then that's what's gonna be our Git remote origin for Core. So how do we do that? Well, we're gonna go to these two pages right here. So I'm gonna link these in the YouTube video. Oh. Okay, so here you're gonna click fork. I already have forked it. So if I go to this and I go to here, I already have forked these two, right? You can see here it's already been forked, which is why I can't fork it again. But we have the two things forked, and we're gonna copy these two because that's what our two links are. So boom, boom. Next, add a server. Let's go back. I believe the name should be bridge chain. Just a hunch. No. Damn. All right. And our IP address. So we're gonna go back here. We're gonna copy this. All right. Same way they copy theirs. Same thing here. Boom. Save. Solid. Next. DevNet peers. I believe this should be the same thing. Huh. And as we see here, it's the same thing. Sweet. Deploy. I'm gonna agree. And here, we want to view this. We're gonna take this entire beautiful snippet. So I'm gonna click copy. And now we're gonna go into putty again. I'm gonna click make a nano. And I'm gonna make it should be called, I believe, startup or like setup.sh. I'm gonna copy that. Yep, nano setup.sh. Honestly, it's what you want to call it as long as it's .sh in the back. Right? Click this. And I just right clicked. So once I right clicked, it pasted this stuff into here. So this is basically everything. Now to exit, you're gonna click Control and X. So now it's gonna be like, do you want to save this? I'm gonna click yes, and then it's gonna be like, what do you want to save it to? I'm like, I want to save it to setup.sh. Sweet. Now we got this saved up. You can see how we see setup.sh right there. And here I'm gonna do splash setup.sh. Enter. And now it's gonna be installing a bunch of stuff for us. So just a quick heads up of what you'll be expecting on this. This does take a decent amount of time. It takes a couple of minutes. And it's just basically going to install a lot of stuff that we're going to need for this workshop to work properly. So a couple things here is that we got Node.js, which is a fantastic fantastic JavaScript runtime environment. Essentially what it allows us to do is it allows us to host a server. So Node.js, you could think of it as it creates a node, it creates a server, like a backend server for something like a website or something else to talk to. And Lerna, it's basically a node package, and it's part of Node.js, and it's installed using a node package manager or npm. So if you've ever done anything with Node, I'm sure you spent a long time doing like npm install this or npm install that. So Lerna is just one of those, is another Node module. Make sense? Sweet. A couple other things here. We got build essential, yarn, and cmd test. And so as this beautiful presentation here explains, fantastic way, this is just me buying time. We got build essential, which, you know, GCC compiler, make. So GCC compiler and make, very, very important. If you, for anything in C, you need a GCC compiler. Next is yarn. It's a caching tool. So, as it says here, caching downloads of packages. I couldn't have said it better. And lastly, we got cmd test. So basically a testing utility for Unix command line tools. It's going to be used in this workshop once again. So we need all this stuff. Even if, you know, we don't use this, the whole point is that there's probably some other app or something else library that we've installed that's going to use it. So that's the whole point of it. Now with that being said, I'm going to see that, like it says on the top, have patience. This stuff takes a while. You can see here, it takes a while. But what you do need to know is that eventually you're going to get to this, which is you're going to have to put in your GitHub deploy, your GitHub details. So just watch out for this. It does take a while, but this will come up eventually. And besides that, I do believe that you should be good to go. The only thing is, once this thing is done, make sure to save this information here. Take a screenshot of it or something. We're going to be using this information later, so just make sure to save this. And next, once Explorer is installed, it's going to ask which network we want to run. So click the option 3, and when you do click the option, it's going to disconnect you from the virtual machine. And when it does, make sure to save this as well. Do not forget to save this stuff. I cannot emphasize this enough because we're going to be using this as one of the first steps when I begin this workshop. Is obviously I'm going to spend a little bit of time checking if everyone got stuff installed. But right after that, the first step is going to be to basically check. It's going to be using this URL right here. So hopefully that all makes sense. And with that, if you do have any questions, feel free to just message me on Slack. And I really hope that all this information that I just gave you helped. And just a quick check up. As you can see, my GitHub thing actually did come up, so I'm going to put that in real quick. And you'll see, yeah, I don't know why it does say this. It's very sad. However, everything else did run fine for me. And I do know is that this right here does take a while. So just don't stress over it. It is what it is. Good luck.